Last time we pulled the motor to fix a bunch of issues. I broke another bolt, and now we can continue by letting out some anger in a healthy way. We're bashing the firewall hoping to make more clearance for our motor. Now that we're thinking clearly, we need to fix the damage done by removing the broken bolt. While waiting for the new ones to come in, we can install the optional fourth motor mount. I figured this would help against any extra movement that would result in contact with the firewall. It uses an OEM Honda mount on the transmission, and it's torqued to 40 foot-pounds. Continuing our hunt for the oil leak, we can replace the O-ring for the oil cooler. I didn't see any damage, but sometimes it's as simple as not seating properly. The bolt I broke came in, and I got a new torque wrench meant for bicycles in hopes it would prevent me from doing anything else stupid. Next, we replaced the O-ring and the gasket for the VTEC pressure switch and the whole VTEC solenoid. Now we can reinstall the oil filter and the coolant lines. When this thing was running, it kind of sounded like a tractor. Through research and a comment on a previous video, I saw that using straight feeler gauges can lead to inaccurate valve lashing. I decided to redo it with the feelers that had a 45-degree bend. It seems like from my initial adjustment, some of them were pretty loose. I also finally bought a small breather for the valve cover. Back in the engine bay, we're going to remove the passenger motor mount and install the stock one with a lower durometer to help with the crazy vibrations. Another issue that I haven't mentioned has been the starter. Despite it being brand new, it randomly won't crank, and sometimes it takes a while for it to decide to start the car. I found a used OEM one that we'll be installing. Now we can reinstall the engine by rolling it into the bay and bolting the mounts one at a time. I'm quickly going through the reinstallation, but I have covered it extensively in previous videos. Although I will say, this is the first time I did it alone, and I don't recommend it. Next, we attach the axles, slave cylinder, and the new motor mount. Now we reattach the coolant lines, shifter linkages, vacuum lines, and all the grounds. With everything attached, we go back and torque the new motor mount to 47 foot-pounds. Next, we can install the exhaust header, and then we can torque all the motor mounts. Now we reattach the rear subframe, the suspension linkages, sway bar, starter wire, and fill up all the fluids. Now we throw on everything to make it barely street legal, torque down the axles and wheels, and fire it up. First impression is good. Nothing blew up, leaked, and the valve train sounds much quieter. Not to mention, the starter did its job. I took it for a quick spin, and the good news quickly ended. At around 3000 RPM, I was getting a really bad misfire, along with my dash lighting up like a Christmas tree. I was data logging, and something important to notice is that my battery voltage goes off the charts. I gave it a couple of revs while looking around and noticed this, which is something I've never seen before, and it's absolutely terrifying. My first thought was the motor wasn't properly grounded and was shorting on the chassis. I made sure all the grounds were connected and probed them to measure the resistance. If it read as an open loop, or infinite resistance, then I knew it wasn't grounded properly, but that wasn't the case. I probed the positive terminal with the ground, which should be an open loop since those should never be connected, but it was not open. This tells us that there's a short to the ground somewhere. My first guess was this OEM Honda terminal no longer being used further down the harness, but that wasn't it. I don't have the footage, but I traced it back to the voltage regulator on the alternator. You know, the one that was smashing against the firewall. The one back where I can't reach. So yep, the motor has to come back out. Oh, and it also still leaks oil.